Hello, everyone. You are listening to the award-winning To Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips, both great businesses in Hull. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and tonight I'm joined by Joe, Will, and Christian to discuss the departure of Ryan Longman. I don't think anything else very interesting happened at the weekend.
Nah, I think it's just just remembering the good times with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what we're going to fill an hour with because Longman content, the amount of
We can get 20
hours.
minutes out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was very enjoyable for me. Maybe sort of wavered from being fun and tedious for you. I'm sure it was tedious constantly for all our lovely listeners. But of course, I'm just going to get it out of the way, and then we can spend the rest of the day being very happy about the football match that happened this weekend. But yes, obviously, Ryan Longman, my favourite player. I've had a lot of people, and so I'm going to do a small rant before I let anyone else talk. I've had a lot of people ask why he's my favourite player. Well, I don't necessarily think your favourite player has to be the best player. I related to him because I'm a winger that misses a lot of chances when I play football, that puts a lot of effort in. And to be honest, I think I'm not going to say too much more, but I think it's fascinating to me that someone like Longman, who we signed during a transfer embargo, has actually got more more goals and assists than Sickening and Pelkas and a lot of the players we've signed, even this season. All these forward players, we've gone through a list of 60 of them the other day, and Longman was at 11th or 14th in the list. So I just think before you say, "Oh, Longman was rubbish," and but we won't miss him. Well, we can't guarantee that because of course he has done a lot more for the team than a certain few players that may or may not still be at the club. Other than that, Joe, Will, Christian, I'm sure you're very happy about the actual football match because we beat Sheffield United 3-0.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
What score was that?
For it.
Well,
it was
Will, the first time you've predicted 3-0 and it's been right for an away match as well because we've had QPR and twice and Cardiff.
Last year.
Yeah. So, Will, you must
Clearly,
be
it's a winning
vindicated.
idea because I actually get one right a season
At least.
compared to everyone else getting none right a season.
Yeah, I mean, we've not really done any other predictions, or we've not been doing it as much as last year. But fair enough. I know you predict it, but you do predict 3-0 every week. Did anyone really see that coming, especially after a disappointing defeat against QPR on Tuesday?
Well, Will saw it coming, but I think pretty much everyone else, no one said that we would win this game 3-0 away at Bramble Lane. Only 3 teams had scored there before we turned up. And then bang, Crooksy early. And, well, there we go. Matty Jacob put one in. And then, honestly, João Pedro, man. Oh, my goodness me. That man, he can have a Hull City contract for as long as he wants. He can play until he's 50. I do not care. If we get that effort and what have you for the next 20 years, João, that'll do me.
He's great to watch, isn't he? He's great to watch. I don't think anyone really could have predicted that we would be begging for his 12-month extension. To be triggered at any point because we thought,
Not just that, get him a 2-year deal with the option of a third, mate.
No, just 3 years option of fourth. Surely he's done enough for that. I would say so. Of course, we should touch on the fact we lost to QPR. Our home form it's still the worst in the league. I thought Gelhardt. We got to talk about Gelhardt at least because we did score our goal of the season, which is nice. We usually score some good goals against QPR. I know Bowen had one a few years ago, and last season, Tufan scored a worldie. So nice to keep on that tradition. But, we really needed the best thing about the Championship that the players always say is that you can respond quickly. And it was only 5 minutes in. So, of course, Will, you've got Tree as your sort of subheader. I think Crooks, could be the new Tufan, and that was quite a strike.
I think he could be the new Xavi, to be quite honest. Or Iniesta.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think of his performance, Will? Because I thought he obviously did fade a little bit later on.
Calling him the new Iniesta didn't give you an idea of my thoughts on him.
Well, I think,
I mean,
maybe a bit of subtlety would be nice.
he was ace, and then he completely gassed out, which I'm not bothered about because he's been playing in the MLS.
Yeah. I mean, he was exhausted by 15 minutes, but he was probably exhausted.
But he was replaced by someone else who looks a class act, which is that Materza.
Yes, we've heard a few comments about him. So he's signed on a permanent deal from Monaco. Seems like a nice smiley chap to replace Bedje.
Announced about an hour before the game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
that was interesting. That was a tactic. That was tactically done. I thought that was genius.
Christian, I don't think it was that. I think it was bollocks, his international clearance is coming through. That means he's in the squad. Shit, we can't just put him on the team.
No, it's honest. So the interview afterwards, it was actually brought up about him being like added and announced the hour before kickoff. And it was like, well, was there something in there? And he just said it with a smile and cheesy grin on his face, going, I don't want to comment on that. You know, one of those looking away like, I don't know what you're on about, mate. It was absolutely, he is class. You could just see.
Surprised Wilder didn't moan about it in his post-match interview.
Yeah. Oh. It was, when he came on, he just looked so composed, didn't he? He just looked really composed. Really good signing. Like, the signings that we've done, I think, Nathaniel, you did a post about how we've seen our signings so far throughout this transfer market. And look, because of where we are in the league, obviously we weren't expecting, god tier signings. Exactly, we weren't expecting that. But the signings that we've done, I mean, for not only just with the depth side of things, but the quality of certain plays that we have brought in is, you can't not rate how well we've done so far. Obviously, we're all scrubbing out for a left back and a winger, a permanent kind of solid winger to kind of just replace what's going on at the moment. And I think Joe Gelhardt at the moment as well, when the season finishes, should be a priority to sign. I don't know if anybody else agrees on that one, but
yes, I'm convinced.
Absolutely convinced that Joe Gelhardt should be a Hull City player without a doubt. Give the guy, just speak to his agent now. Speak to him now.
Get
I don't care how much.
Put on the table, let him roll whatever numbers he wants on it.
Exactly.
Second week in a row you've done that, Joe.
But the effort that he brings in, I mean, for a small guy, he gets stuck in, doesn't he? He really, really gets stuck in. The amount of little nick passes that he does, the running with the ball, the getting at the player when he's got the ball as well, and pushing back defenders. It's someone that City have kind of needed and missed this season from the winger role. Obviously, we have Bloomy and Miller, but they're out. So once they were gone, we lost that completely. And having someone like Joe Gelhardt here right now and for next season, 110%, get that boy signed. That goal as well is just outrageous. He shouldn't even attempt it. And if anything, wasn't he cheeky enough trying to attempt a halfway shot against Sheffield or something as well?
He was, actually.
He did. I swear he tried a halfway shot. I thought that was the audacity to do it, but the confidence to do it is, that just goes to show the type of player he is. So if you've got someone running on that kind of, I guess, confidence train at Hull, you keep them. You play them. You've got to keep playing them. I mean, we're all gutted about QPR. I thought we did enough, to be honest, to actually be ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think we should have been winning, definitely, at that point.
Yeah, we should have been winning. But let's be fair, we didn't have kind of, I don't want to say a goal scorer up top, but I mean, Pedro was having to drop a lot more than stay up there. And I think signing Kyle has brought a new dynamic to those balls going through and having Kyle to run onto it to allow us to get up the pitch, which is now allowing us to have these more opportunities up there, which it's chalk and cheese if you look at QPR versus Sheffield United. And to have those type of players that were in the squad, I mean, Crook's starting in that strike. He is a tree. You could see honest to God, Sheffield United were actually afraid of him at one stage because I saw him running at a defender, and that defender not only jumped out the way, he hailed a taxi and decided to go play for Sheffield Wednesday. That's how fast he wanted to get out of the way of Tree running at him. And it was absolutely...
Just before Crooks' goal, right, I was... Like, as Kamara was running forward, there was a moment where he slowed, and I knew at that point that he'd messed the ball up, and I shouted something at the top of my lungs, which could be heard across the whole house. I was in the back room. It was heard with the door shut upstairs in the front bedroom. And then all of a sudden, the ball falls to Matt Crooks, and he just puts his foot through it, and it nestles in that far corner. And I just completely shut up with whatever I was saying before that. Oh, my God, what a goal.
Absolutely.
Just the sort of quality we need as well, because, the amount of times the ball's sort of fallen in the box and we've not had someone of quality and experience to tuck it away. And, of course, we've got Pedro, but, yeah, Crooks, I feel like that was a great finish, not only in the right place, right time, and can put himself about. I'm sure he'll be a little bit fitter for the Stoke match, which will help. But, and just, of course, good that he's taller than we're probably going to play Puerto or Alzate or Matosa with him. So nice we have some height in the midfield now. But, yeah, that was a really good strike, one of the best goals.
That's going to be interesting that one of Puerto, Alzate, Crooks and Matosa are going to be missing out.
But then, again, it's a championship. Danny says it here. Being able to rotate the midfield and the whole team is really beneficial.
Oh, it's nice having some depth.
Yeah.
But dropping any of them is unfair.
As well. They're all our players. They're not going to be. They're not going to be at a Premier League club in 6 months' time, like all the players were last year.
Not if we sell them. I reckon.
Which is unlikely to happen unless we dramatically go down in absolute flames and all sorts, which I don't think is going to happen. I've maintained for a while that will not happen, but we are in such a good position for next year when you consider Bellumi and Miller will be back fit. And Charlie Hughes will be back fit in about a month's time. And then we've got that level of depth in the midfield.
Cynic.
Nathaniel, don't trivialise this.
It's interesting to see if Hughes goes back into the side, because that boy Sean, I'm not sure I could even justify dropping him in anywhere.
No, he's of course he's been playing at left back for the last few games, and he's done. QPR, I think you saw a little bit of the limitation going forward, but if you're playing Sean McLaughlin at left back, especially away at Sheffield United, you don't.
Well, as soon as he went against QPR, when we went to Matty Jacob left back, Sean McLaughlin centre back, we seemed to improve a little bit. To be fair, and I think it was the same. I mean, McLaughlin had a good time anyway, but when Jacob came on, I think he improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just great to have options, isn't it? And we're going to have a few more for the next match. I don't know what to go next, really.
Well, I think we should talk in a little bit more depth about, because we've mentioned him about the depth and stuff, a little bit more in depth about Elio Matazo. Because I think as he got subbed on, he didn't need to do anything else other than put himself about, which is exactly what he did. And for a debut at very short notice with one training session, you can't really ask any more of him. But
you can tell he's someone who's played in the Champions League this season.
That was my very next point.
Friday night at Sheffield United is nothing in comparison.
No, it'll be able to adapt to the challenge. And hopefully he's like Puerta, where he's a young lad who's been at a top club, Monaco and Leverkusen, roughly similar, a big club in a top 5 European league, and to come in. Of course, he's probably got he's got more experience in Puerta. And to come in after being announced and probably only had 1 or maybe 2 training sessions and make the impact he did off the bench, it's really promising. And it's going to be a headache for Sayers. But, with injuries, have we actually been able to play what we would call our strongest 11 this season once? No, because our strongest 11 would have to have Pedro and Alzate, and then probably also Hughes or Bellumi. And I don't think we probably had like one match where, or none. I don't think
I would argue
any
none
before.
because players who've come in since Bellumi and Miller got injured are better than the ones who were in when Bellumi and Miller were fit.
Yeah.
And like even if Bellumi and Miller were back to fitness next week, we still arguably wouldn't because Zambrano, and you've still got to factor that in that he's suspended and he looked good in a team that didn't use the midfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, let's just not bring up that midfield again because it's just so crazy the difference in it. We rattled on about it for half a year, well, half a season, about how important our midfield or a midfield is in general in football. And now look at our midfield now and how we're playing with a midfield is just...
And the quality in it. It's like, how can you have that quality at your disposal, not play Puerta for half of your tenure, and then like just decide, you know what, there's all this quality in there, but nah. 30% of possession in the entire game between the goalkeeper and the two centre-backs. That's the way to go.
Whoever came up with that strategy is just idiotic, I tell you. I'm saying it. No. Computer says no.
What was his name again?
I blanked
Jan
him.
Molby.
I blanked him.
Yeah, that must be.
Must be. But yeah, I mean, we're all talking about the midfield that we've got now. There's depth in there, there's rotation in there, and do you know what? There's quality in there. There is absolute quality in there now, and it's the one position where you now can look and go, it's fine. That's fine. There is zero problems with that position. And talking about Sean McLaughlin on left back as well, like, is it me or does he play better left back than he does centre back? I mean, look, we know he can't. He's not an attacking sense, but if you go back to Millwall and how he stopped everything coming in from the width in that game, and Sheffield United, I'm going to say this now, and I don't really want to upset any Sheffield United fans here, but
go ahead.
They were boring as hell. It was the same bloody thing. It was so boring. Pass it out wide, get a cross in. It didn't matter which side wide it went. It was get it out wide, big cross, out wide, big cross. And if you're doing that, you found out for 90 minutes. That's all they did. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away their quality of how they pressure and how they got the ball up the pitch, because you can see they're in that position for an absolute reason, because they do have that quality of being able to get the ball up. But if their tactic is literally just go wide cross, if you've got someone like Sean McLaughlin, that SARS, who literally laps up those type of crosses coming into a box anyway, as his job should be as a centre-back anyway, and you've got him out left-back, you've almost mute the tactic. So is that Ruben's genius? Has this predicament put that in there?
2 out of the 3 games that he's put Sean McLaughlin at fullback, they have been games where we shouldn't have expected to be on top necessarily because of the way Millwall play, especially at the Den, and the fact that we would have to deal with a lot of crosses in the box. At Millwall, it turned out against Sheffield United the same, and it's absolutely worked. It was bold to keep McLaughlin at left back after what happened against QPR, but boy did it work. Maka was absolutely unreal. And then when he got moved back to centre-back, it allowed Matty Jacob to come on and score a goal and Sean McLaughlin to make a massive, massive block near the end of time.
Yeah, I mean, Sheffield United had a header from Callum O'Hare relatively early. This was one of the rare moments where one of the Sheffield United players got a bit of space between Burns, McLaughlin and Jones. But then otherwise, they either blazed it miles over the bar, so good to catch him on a poor day, or it was a great block from Adrame or McLaughlin or Jones. So yeah, the defensive performance, and I mean, as Lee said there, they had 79 corners, nothing to show for it. Their corners were dreadful. Ours have improved. But
they, like Millwall the other week, I think could have played for another several hours and they wouldn't have got past us.
yeah, yeah,
I agree. Do you know what was interesting you brought up there? Little Matty coming on, and a left back scored a goal. Now, we had a left back for a while. I think he's gone out on loan somewhere, but never did anything. Was it? I've forgotten his name already.
It wasn't Brandon Fleming. No, it wasn't Brandon
No,
Fleming.
he means Furlong. He means Furlong.
Joe Dudgeon retired years ago.
Poor Joe Dudgeon.
He's gone somewhere that apparently he wants to stay. I can't remember what it's called now.
I'm pretty sure that
to the MLS.
Yeah. When Ryan Giles signed for us on loan, even with an option or an obligation to buy from Luton, I don't remember him before making his debut saying, "I want to stay here permanently." I'm pretty sure as soon as he signed for us, he wanted to leave.
I don't remember a fan saying that we wanted to sign him permanently. If I'm being totally honest,
for 4 million, not a chance.
For 4 million, no. And he's been there 2-3 days, and he's already coming out saying, "I want to stay. I want to stay. I want to stay." Well, us Hull fans already knew you didn't want to be here. You could just tell by the way you were playing, and we want you to stay because we don't. It's just been evident you've disappeared. The left back ended up, to be fair, where a striker should have been, but I'm not arguing with it. And
still
tipped it home. Yeah. So it was. You're right there, Will. Total football, and I mean the cross came in from our right back, and it was scored by our left back.
Yeah,
like
2 fullbacks combining. Of course, I was just at half time. I think in the group chat we were talking about Drame's crossing not being good enough. I mean, it was actually a perfect one for Jacob.
Yeah,
I'm very critical of his crossing. I will say this. I'm not going to argue. His crossing has been god awful in the last few games because we've had opportunities where we've had people in the box and it one nice, clean, powerful cross would have gone in, and we might have got something from the end of it. However, it hasn't been that way. And then to say now we got the assist with that cross in, I mean, it wasn't far. Let's be fair. I mean, if he didn't get that cross in from there would have been a problem. And I would have been slating him, Nathaniel, even worse than I was in the chat. But I'm happy that he did get it. And let's just hopefully it continues the form, because with Stoke coming up, they are here for the taking with how we play. And now they don't have their main man up top, which, to be fair, their main man up top we've just played against and
didn't do a lot, did he?
Did he touch the ball more than
for what? They
twice?
Spent 10 mil on Cannon, and they've got Ben Brereton Diaz on loan, who would cost probably about the same. We've paid 2 million.
And they looked absolutely fantastic, didn't they?
Yeah, they looked amazing, didn't they? Like,
well, they scored so many.
Playing, weren't they?
2 million for Kyle Joseph.
Yeah.
And João Pedro on a free on the 26th of September. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because Joseph didn't really.
At least wait till the end of the season saying that.
Well, yeah. Joseph didn't really touch the ball that much, but I think even though he didn't do a huge amount, on the ball, off the ball, was impressive. And of course, the fact he's there at all enables Pedro to come on for the last half an hour. And of course, he didn't score the goal. Kamara almost got it. It was an own goal off Burrows in the end, but that was a great bit of skill to kill the game. And
great run through as well. Like he literally bypassed 3 players, like 2 midfielders and a centre back. He bypassed to try and get that cross in. And they got. I like that. Well done, Lee, on that one.
I forgot to load the cannon.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Lee also mentioned earlier Pando's distribution. I believe I saw that, and you're right. His distribution was a lot better against Sheffield, because usually it was always short, quite negative. Though we saw a bit of a short game. Obviously, you're allowed a bit of the mix, but his distribution further up the pitch was a lot better. A lot better, and it again gave that dynamic, because having Carl, kind of Joseph, that kind of running through the channels, running through kind of their back line, it just gave us another outlet as well, didn't it? It gave us that other outlet. So,
well, you look at Ivor as well, and he must personally have had such a tough few weeks. But like getting dropped for those 3 games. Donny in the cup, you can probably sort of forgive because it's the cup. But being kept out for Millwall, where we won away, and then QPR, that must have been tough for him. But then, finding out later in the week that Kyle Rushworth's getting recalled anyway, the club being caught totally unawares by that, and Evo being parachuted straight back in, it could have had a catastrophic impact on his confidence. But it hasn't. He's just picked up where he left off, made a couple of decent saves when he had to. And that's all you can ask for it from Evo Panda. Cracking player. And, well, I think he's going to have Timothy Lotta-Tyler as his number 2 for the rest of the season, with Rachopi's move still being sanctioned. And then we've got all the goalkeepers in the 21s. And Archie Howard from the 18s has been up with the first team for the last 2-3 weeks. So I think even though Rushworth's gone and Rachopi's going, we've got ample cover in the goalkeeper position.
Are we going to be bringing up a bit more about the kind of rumours of certain players going out elsewhere?
I'd imagine so, but we've got to finish covering.
Oh, we've got to finish this. Yeah, definitely.
Got a few more things to talk about. Yeah. I mean, the goalkeeper situation has been very strange for quite some time now. I think actually I was looking bar the first January transfer window when we signed Dahlia and Forge and those people and Slater under Adjan. I think we've signed a goalkeeper every single window up until this one. So hopefully Panda, now he's a permanent player, can finally, with the Rushworth situation, I don't suppose we'll be signing another one in the summer. And I'm glad that Rachopi would be able to leave, because I can imagine him being told you can go because you're definitely not going to play. Rushworth then unexpectedly gets recalled by Brighton. Again, I think that's because Brighton have had an injury. But
yes,
still, a bit of a strange situation. I'm glad for his sake that he can still leave, because otherwise that'd be very frustrating for him. And then lovely comments from Panda about the fans afterwards. Compared to a certain other person who's been at the club and had some opinions about the fans, that is how you respond after a frustrating period. You come out, clean sheet away at the second in the table. Of course, Chris Wilder thinks that they're top. He kept saying they had 60 points. No, you don't. And I'm sure he won't be saying that if they were to finish third. Yeah. So yeah, Pink Panda, I'm very happy for him.
I think Chris Wilder talking about injuries and suspensions was a little
compared
bit
to us. Yeah,
arguably our best centre half and our 2 biggest attacking threats out wide done
Senek.
until mid-February, and in the case of Balumi and Miller, the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you've really got a leg to stand on when you've got Gustavo Harmer suspended. And you can still
they're top of the league and we're near the bottom in the bottom.
And you can still call upon, when you've got Harmer suspended, Vinny Souza off the bench. You can start Callum O'Hare. You've brought in Ben Brereton and Tommy Cannon. It's in Chris Wilder's mind, you will never lose a game because the other team was better than you. There is always.
Well, you say that. To be fair, he did credit City and say we were the better team and we played well. Obviously, he still moaned lots, but he did give us credit as well, which I wasn't expecting from him.
It's like the every manager we played in the League One season. It reminded me a lot like that, to be honest. I just couldn't.
Yeah, League One manager bingo was fantastic.
We beat MK Dons 3-0 at their place, and Russell Martin said it was quite a close game, really.
And the Ipswich commentators, when we beat them 3-0.
At their place again. A lot of 3-0's been mentioned tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great win. What a great win, really. I lost my voice. I celebrated so much. And that's huge, because I think there were some good results otherwise. West Brom completely destroyed Portsmouth. I think Plymouth are pretty much gone, especially now that Whittaker has gone to Middlesbrough. Finally gone to a club that's, good enough for him. I think he's a very good player. Of course, Stoke didn't win, so we're still above them. And Cardiff, I know they won, but of course they beat Derby, so we're actually a full 2 points above the relegation zone.
That's better than Derby winning, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so.
In the grand scheme.
As I said before, we want to finish the season well. But if we finish like joint on points with 17th and finish 21st, but we're 10 points above the bottom three, I don't really mind. Mind you, if we finish one, if we win on fair play, fewer yellow cards or something, and stay up that way, I'd be perfectly happy with that. I would just like, because I know we have beaten Sheffield United, I am going to bring up this comment from Scott here, talking about how do we know we're going to be in a good position for next season. It's still only the 2 points, and I think it just means it's in our hands. We've got these players coming in, we've got a few more to come in as well, and a lot of the home matches are against teams in and around us, but it's only 2 points, and given the home form, Stoke was a must win, but now it's an even bigger must win in terms of you don't want to lose that opportunity to potentially, if results go our way, because I don't see Luton winning away at Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't see Derby doing what we can do and beat Sheffield United. Hopefully we can go 5 points clear if we beat Stoke. That is the target.
It's finally balanced, isn't it? Like, it's finally poised. You've got to think the game that we just played. I mean, obviously we all love the result, but it isn't just about the result per se. It was how we played. Mm-hmm. It was very solid and organized. Everyone you could see no one was confused for a change. It seemed fluid. Defensively, obviously, we were very, very organized and strict. We knew where we're going. We did really well on the counter-attacks. We had the players to do that as well. So the performance is the key thing that I've taken away. And now we're talking about Stoke. This is where it's really funny, because yes, we need to get Stoke. I mean, obviously we need to beat Stoke anyway, regardless. But it's the hope. This is why all the fans right now, and especially with that comment about saying like where we're at for next season and we're in a good position, it's because we're looking at the players we've got now finally, and we've started to build a very solid team that just needs a bit more time together with one or two little tweaks and additions.
It's still very young,
still very young.
Sayers is as well.
I was going to say, and we've only just really got Ruben. He's going to have half a season with us by the end of this, and then to have that full pre-season as well to get his absolute message across is going to be perfect for us for what we need moving forward. But with Stoke coming up, we really do need that performance to roll over. We can't sit back on what's going to happen, because the fans need it as well, more than anything. The fans need to see now, like continuity of like that type of performance. It can't just be sporadic. It can't be have a good game. Oh, we weren't with it this game. We weren't up to scratch, because we're not in a position to do that.
That's exactly it. That game, like I've been saying for weeks, we've got enough to stay up, and then people point to me and say, "All right, where, how, what's changed?" Like, well, you've got to watch the team week in, week out to understand that things have changed. You've got to take note of what players are saying and the players' body language to notice things have changed. Ruben Sayers has changed the entire atmosphere around this football club. And that's what gave me cause for belief before. Now, I can point to that Sheffield United game in these discussions, and I can say that game is why we've got enough to stay up.
It's a statement, isn't it?
But the thing is, it has to mean something, like we've said earlier. It has to be a turning point. We can't now go and, like Everton in the FA Cup a few years ago under McCann, we did really well there, and then we went and lost really limply to Stoke at home. Mm-hmm. A couple of days before Adjun took over, we had Blackburn and Bournemouth coming up, first and second in the league, and then we rode a wave and went and beat them both. This has to be the moment where we go, right, we've got the quality, let's beat Stoke. And after that, let's go to Burnley, Norwich and Sunderland, 3 really tough games,
do the same,
show a bit of what we've got before we play Plymouth on the 1st of March.
Since Ruben came in, Since Ruben came in, we are, I think 12th in the form table since he came in. Where we are currently is a false position, in my opinion, and it has been a false position for a while, and it's only just now because we're starting to get those results that we've deserved for a while that it's starting to appear on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the finishing's been awful this season. Just looking at the XG now, expected goals 33, we've scored 30. That's only improved quite recently. Of course, you look at Slater as well. Sort of,
Ruben could have 30 on his own.
I know.
Yeah, so
really could have.
we're finally picking up those results, and if we can,
you know what, I thought his goal was going to come at Bramall Lane. I really thought it was going to come.
We all did.
There were a few moments where I thought he's just sort of dribbling towards the box. Just have a go.
Have a stab.
Yeah, but there were 3 very good goals. So hopefully we can carry that into the next match. Yeah. Here's something. Chris says, how do you think Ruben would have done with the team Rosenior had last season? It's difficult to know. Of course, I think the main thing is that we're probably just a goalkeeper or choosing not to play Allsop away from playoffs. But then again, of course, as soon as Rushworth was fit, he was betting with his feet, say as Tropanda. So I don't know whether he would have not made the same decision as Rosenior. It's very difficult to know. But
especially with Ivor coming in mid-season.
Yeah.
With a settled group. It is always hard to know. And I think we just need to accept where we are. I think as one of the big, I will constantly go back to Liam Rosenior people. I feel confident enough with Ruben to fully move on and to start looking up again and to start building again.
Yeah.
And we just need to be happy to see Liam Rosenior, who not been beaten since November, in France. He went through a rough patch. We've turned it round. Good luck to him. And his second successor turned out to be the correct replacement.
I think he was one of the names who might have been linked within the summer sayers. It was I think the real question is, of course, we didn't have that terrible, terrible manager, the worst that's been at the club since I've been supporting them, which is, isn't that just the last, 2-3 weeks? Because I'm so young. Yeah, that wouldn't really make any sense. The squad Liam has now is very good. It's very, very young. Their oldest player is 25.
It's the youngest squad in the top 5 major leagues in Europe.
It's crazy. I think they're all 22 and younger, bar the goalkeeper Petrovic, who's 25, which for goalkeeper is basically 22, 23.
Young.
Very.
Well, Ivor's 25, isn't he?
Yeah. So we're going to have him for quite a long time. You're going to be quite insulted when I bring up the combined lineup that he's not in it. But, sorry. Basically, I got to put at least like one Stoke player in, haven't I, when I do that? But yeah, it was a fantastic performance. Probably one of the most unlikely results we've had. I know we beat Bournemouth, as you mentioned, Joe. We won away at Middlesbrough that season as well. Beat Leicester last year, but we had a pretty good team then. That was early on in the season. Of course, we beat Premier League champions Leicester, but they only finished a few spots above us that year. So probably, in Hull City recent history, that is one of the most unlikely results, because it's not just a 1-0 where you nick a goal and sit in. We countered really well, executed the game plan, and we deserved... Comprehensive.
It was a comprehensive win. Yeah,
we deserved the win.
Yeah.
And of course, Sheffield United fans will say, "Oh, you didn't deserve a win because you had, less of the ball and that sort of thing." But there were many ways to play football. And,
that's not how it works.
Yeah, precisely.
Doesn't matter if it's 58-44. The scoreline was 3-0, mate.
We should know that.
Makes sense. 58-44
would be an incredible possession difference, considering that's 102%.
Yeah. But the only thing that matters is how many goals go in, and that was remind us, Will, what was it?
I think it was 3-0.
Yeah. Nice proving right for once. But,
and on that note,
broken clock's right twice a day.
Twice a season, yeah. if
So we
that.
talk transfers.
Yeah. So, well, Longman, we've mentioned him. Anyone else who's supposed to be leaving? There was a rumor about Amr to Besiktas.
Yeah, there's a room from.
Not against it.
We've got rid of Giles. Can we get rid of Amr as well? And then, of course, Cynic will probably go in the summer. We don't need to be spending so much money on these players when the young and hungry players that we spend a whole lot less money on seem to be doing much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's worth him going. I mean, it's not working for him over here now. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was promise last season. And I think we were all kind of hoping / expected a bit more from him this season. I think we put a lot on him a lot of expectation on him to kind of get some out of.
We all had him as our player of the season in our predictions match at the start of the year with the Aussies, which, when you consider the pool of players,
everyone
made sense at the time, but when you look with hindsight, it's a group of shocking predictions. I mean, we also predicted that Tim Walter wouldn't get sacked if he were to leave; he'd walk. But anyway, yeah, I'm not against Abdush going at all. It's just not worked.
And he doesn't play well out wide, and we don't really play with a 10. We play with number 8s, and I don't think he's good enough to play a sort of more box-to-box position. We've got Puerto Alzate, etc., who can do that. Of course, Palmer to come back in as well.
And that's the thing. But there's no hate against him or anything like that. He's just, he doesn't suit Hull City. And though he was a nice guy, you could see his individual ability. It's kind of the complete opposite to how City fans feel about Ryan Giles, really. Ryan Giles would want you out the door because of the attitude you give off. Whilst with Omar, it's just best for your career if you went elsewhere. Not just, I mean, obviously from a Hull City side, we'll take your wages back, thank God, but and spend them elsewhere. But yeah, it's just not worked for him. It's just not going to work for him, and hopefully he does get some out of it, because it'll be a waste for him as well. If he doesn't go this transfer market, it is going to be a waste for him, and it's not going to help his career moving forward in any way.
Well, yeah, he's just going to have 6 months sat doing now, because he's not going to get in this team.
Yeah,
he doesn't fit, so he's just not going to play.
And that's the thing. So, like, for your own benefit, we understand, go elsewhere, obviously. So there's no malice against him, though, and there's no one ever going to turn around and say, God, he was a shocking player. No one's ever going to turn around and say that about Omar, which is a good thing in a way. It's just, it's not work for you. That's all. So
yeah. Very fair. The exciting one is the winger. So shall we talk about the slightly less exciting player we might get?
Well, we've gone this whole episode and not mentioned Lincoln Henrique. So I think we should just say that he wasn't in because he's not played for ages. So it's like with Matt Crooks. He's not played since like November, December time, early December time. He's been out of the game for a bit, so he won't be match sharp. He's very likely to be in the squad to play Stoke. And there's obvious scepticism with the Fenerbahce and Turkish players, isn't there? Because the only two that have worked are Tufan and Pedro. Pedro, who we all just sort of said, well, beggars can't be choosers. We're desperate for strikers. And he's been class. And now we all love him.
Fans' favourite. Yeah, fans' favourite there, yeah.
And Ozan, which probably wouldn't have worked had Liam Rosenior not been the manager and motivated him to get to the sharpness he wanted him to be at, to get to the fitness he wanted him to be at. So the rate of success for Turkey signings is very slim. I'd put Lincoln in the category of Pelkas and Amr if we're to rank Turkey signings, where they've got a bit of a reputation, they've shown a bit, they've won stuff, and there's a bit of hype around them. But because we've seen how Pelkas and Amr have played out, there is an awful lot more skepticism this time, which is completely valid, and I'm part of the group that are slightly skeptical, to be honest, but I'll give him a shot, as every Hull City fan should with every player that's going to pull on a Hull City shirt.
Yeah, I find Christian.
No, I'm just saying I'm with Joe on that. I'm going to give him a try. I mean, by looking at obviously all the information that's been out there regarding him and all the little video clips that I'm sure every single one of us has watched over and over again. Though he can play out wide, I'd still say his best position is kind of in the middle. But do we need him in that middle spot? Because what we've got there right now is perfect. And by the looks of it, he's very good at doing set pieces and the free kicks department, which is something that we don't have. And we haven't had since God. Andy Dawson days. Andy Dawson days. That's the.
I mean, I would have accepted since God.
Quite glowing terms for Callum Elder.
No, to be fair, I think people forget how good we were on set pieces with Elder and Honeyman.
Yeah. In League One. But when we got, as soon as they got promoted, the same crosses and corners in the Championship were garbage. So in League One, they were pretty good, which I feel like might just be more about the state of League One defending, to be honest. But yeah, they were much better. Of course, we had Twine, but I think Lincoln's probably more.
So he's now scoring free kicks for fun again.
Oh, of course. I think Lincoln's probably more of a, well, especially with Thomas as well, probably more of an assister, but from free kicks, more scoring free kicks like Twine rather than maybe whipping set pieces in. I've done the assist compilation for Lincoln. I don't think he's got any from crossing in set pieces, maybe a few corners. But I'm always quite excited about players coming in from throwing these because I'm just so used to, I think I said the same thing last week, the free agents we signed from Peter and Doncaster and stuff, and he's done well in a few countries.
It's not fear of the unknown you get, is it, Nathaniel?
It's excitement that
optimism.
There's potential for success there because I am convinced, because it's not just, oh, you're a bad player, you do badly, you're a good player, you come in and you're a good player immediately. Amr is a good player, technically, but he can't do it physically.
Just not worked here.
Just not worked here,
because he's won the Turkish Super League, and that's a good thing, and the Cup, played in Europe. The same with Lincoln, I don't think.
We've signed him for depth, haven't we? At the end of it, we've signed him for depth. We've signed him for cover to do a job now and then if something drastically happens to somebody else, and he can come on 10, 20 minutes near the end, do a bit.
Essentially similar to the Amrabat signing.
Yeah, it's got the exact same feeling. It's got the exact same feeling.
Except Lincoln isn't ancient.
Yeah,
no, he's about 10 years younger, isn't he? Or more? I think he's more than 11 years. It's 11 years younger than Amrabat, which is crazy. It's an opportunistic signing because we are in a relegation battle. None of the other clubs, Cardiff, Derby, Luton, maybe a little bit, but Luton really haven't spent much money. None of the other clubs in and around us are strengthening because you look at Plymouth, Whittaker's gone. You look at Stoke, Cannon is gone.
Well, Luton have signed Isaiah Jones, to be fair. And
as someone who's not scored a single goal this season, though. So obviously, I think he's a decent player. Bar Luton. Even so, like Isaiah Jones compared to some of the players that like Leeds and Sunderland, not Sunderland, but Sheffield United, like Brereton Diaz, they've not strengthened as much as you would imagine another parachute payment club to do. But no one else has the opportunity to go and get a player from Fenerbahce who's got the quality that Lincoln has. So you just hope that he can adapt to the sort of physical aspect like some of the other players haven't. And then Silver Thomas. Oh no, we've got a Charlie Taylor on loan from Southampton. That's a done deal, but not one that might happen because Charlie Taylor himself from Southampton has not yet decided to sign for us.
It's a done deal if he wants to come back up to Yorkshire.
Yeah.
We can talk about why he
might come back up to Yorkshire.
Of course, Crooks and Thomas want to come here. It's great, isn't it?
God's own country.
Precisely.
Well, you can talk about all the different reasons why Charlie Taylor might not say yes ultimately, but that Sheffield United game is a massive, massive selling point to show that this team can do that. who would look at that? What player wouldn't look at that game if we were interested and say, "Oh, that's what they can do." All right, I'm intrigued. So I'm hopeful that the Charlie Taylor one will come off, because we do need a left back, regardless of how well Sean has done, regardless of Matty Jacobs scoring or whatever. We need a left back. We're short of cover there. We've recalled Brandon Fleming just to send him back out again, probably. James Fairlong's out on loan. We do need another left back. So Charlie Taylor's one of the best ones that we can go out there and target in terms of Premier League and Championship experience.
We thought that about Giles, so you just hope that he doesn't turn into garbage when we sign him.
Yeah, let's not put a must-buy option in there
for 4 million.
For 4.5 million, and
have it as an option instead. Just
a normal option.
No such obligations exist.
Yeah, no obligations, because I think, we would hope Adjan has learned his lesson from that. I truly do. So. Even though we've got Puerta as an obligation, haven't we? And
that's an obligation I'm fine with at the moment.
Yeah, it's an obligation I'm fine with. I'm not arguing with that one.
Obligation, though, is if he plays a certain amount of games, and if he's
which is like 5 more games, isn't it?
He will play those. He will play them. Unless he gets injured, he'll play him.
And if he's playing those games, that means he's good, right? And that he's been trusted to play those games. So that's an obligation on, on merit, for the want of a better phrase, is better than a straight obligation regardless. Because a player, if they're to get the minutes and hit the targets, performance-based targets, they have to prove that they're good enough. And Giles wouldn't have hit such targets last year because he wasn't good enough. But Gustavo will, and no fan's going to say no to it at the moment, are they?
That's it. No one's going to say no to him. I'd have him every day of the week. He's one of my favourite players. I just feel sorry for the guy that, don't get me wrong, he's got his little nick of a goal that he got in, but I still feel confidence-wise he should be belting them from his screamers 20 to 30 yarders that he's known for. Not saying prolifically, but he is known for those. Actually, I know we've moved on to this. I just want to jump back to the Stoke game. Sheffield United game. Talking about players who should be shooting. I think we all know what we're going to talk about here.
Oh, no.
Kamara.
So he's not earned much of a grace period, has he?
But the shots that he had 2 opportunities. Clean opportunities. And again, he cut back in on the left side. Again. He needs to be. And I appreciate your right foot is not your strongest foot, but do us a favour. At least have a pop at the goal instead of turning into a defender.
Yeah, well, like that. There was that one in the second half, wasn't there? Where the ball was played in, and if Abu Kamara just lets it run across his body and hits it with his right foot, we've got. Unless Mikey Cooper makes an unreal save, that's got a very, 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 very high chance of going in. But he, gets scared. Yeah. And I can't remember whether it was a let it run well past and then turn and try and regroup, or a take a touch and put it back into an area where there's loads of defenders kind of one. But Kamara and Miller are the 2 most one-footed players I have ever seen in a Hull City shirt. And the thing with Kamara is there are glimpses of quality, but it's the fact it's mired in this sort of very nonchalant body language that just second half, he's appealing to the lino for a foul. He stands there, and then just all of a sudden, when he realizes it's not getting given, he pops it right in between 2 bodies and sprints right through the middle of them. Like, what if he did that level stuff for 90 minutes? We would have an unbelievable player on our hands, and all the fans would love him. But it's just one of these where I'm not sure what it is. I can't put my finger on an exact word to use, but you all know what I'm trying to say.
It's just
Yeah,
confidence,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think after that team performance, I think for criticising any of them was a bit unfair.
No, I don't. I'm not meaning it in a bad way, Will. I am in a. All right, yeah, no, I am. He should have took the shots.
Well, we just
But
won
I'm not-
3-0 against Sheffield United, and he actually had a part to play
You can't. Yeah,
in
but
two of the goals.
Well, it could have been 4-0. It could have been 5-0.
And I predicted 3-0, so I didn't want it to be 4-0.
Yeah, happy with that.
There we go. This is the thing. Look, I'm sorry we went off track and we went back. It's just something about the lad that he needs to just learn to ping it. That's all I'm saying. He needs to ping it a bit more. Look, his stock has raised after his recent performances, especially that one against Leeds.
Yes.
He did everything, against Millwall wasn't as and sorry, not Mill. QPR wasn't as bad, and then obviously United, the effort was there, which wasn't there before. And I'm always going to give him the praise. Like, well done, you played really well. You did some tactical things, you did some skillful things, your runs, your effort. It was all brilliant. But stop cutting in on your left hand side and just use your bloody right peg. That is all we're asking.
When you can use your right
when
peg.
you can, when you're 1-on-1 with the keeper, pretty much.
I just think we need these signings in, and it's a shame because we spent so much money on him, and he's had the perfect opportunity, really, that you want, which is no competition. Kamara's always been fit, bar 2 games maybe this season, and yeah, he has improved under Sayers, maybe not as quite as much as we like, but as you say, well, that's a great team performance, and we can pick out Kamara.
I got it off target.
No.
Should we go on to Sober Thomas? Let's go on to
Indeed. So I want to actually apologise a tiny bit, but also I might.
What did you say last week?
But then equally, I'm going to say that I might be retracting it this time next week. It's a bit of a weird situation. I did a tier list of the likelihood for various extensive championship experience wingers, and I put Soma Thomas in the 0% category. Of course, now that is a player that we have agreed a fee with and personal terms
0%.
with.
3-0, 0%.
The 0% is that. And it might be proven correct, although it looks like we're still going to try. And that
I would say if a fee's possibly been agreed, it's not 0%.
But then equally, if Huddersfield don't have the option to recall him from Nantes, and the French team are the only team that can, get the deal done by presumably, perhaps. Potentially, I should say, the same sort of situation we would have with Bedia, where I think we might have to pay a sort of cancellation fee or that sort of thing. Why would they want to do that if they have to go and
the difference is that we actively want to cancel Chris Bedia's loan.
Mm-hmm.
Nantes want to keep Sober Thomas. They've got an option to buy him at the end of the season, which they're not going to take as things stand. But they still want to keep him. They still value him this season as a member of their squad. So I think the way this ends is, I think if there's a world in which this deal gets done, and there's a very high chance there has been a breakthrough because he wasn't
he's ill, isn't he? He's ill.
He wasn't
in the squad. He's ill
today to play Leo. So there's a very high chance a breakthrough has been made. But I think if that is to be the case, the way this will have gone is we have agreed a fee with Huddersfield. Us/Huddersfield will then agree a compensation package with Nantes. And at that point, for the deal to get done, we will put some money in. Well, we will compensate Nantes as well as paying Huddersfield the transfer fee.
So much for FFP, we're giving 2 clubs money per player we're signing now.
Yeah.
That's probably the way it'll end up. Or we'll pay Huddersfield enough money to compensate Nantes in a package they agree.
Yeah, reasonable. Otherwise, do we think that would be a good signing? Because I think it's a reasonable play. It's not sort of knock your socks off, but surely better than Vaughan or relying on Burster out wide, something like that.
Hey, no Harry slander, Nathaniel.
No, I'm saying I'm just saying that Sorba Thomas, the Championship winger who's got lots of goals and assists, is better than Harry Vaughan, who's got one assist.
Sorba Thomas is the perfect winger for what we need right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a bit of a dogfight down the bottom, and Sorba Thomas has an awful lot of experience in this league. So being able to call on that and call on his obvious quality, which he's shown for Huddersfield time and time again in this division, especially the year they went up and reached the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just fell short of getting back in the Premier League. But that year where they rocketed up the league under Carlos Corberán, Sorba Thomas was fantastic. So, his ability, his passing range, his crossing ability, set pieces, as far as I'm aware, are all right. It's a very, very smart signing for where we are in the league right now. He might not necessarily be here in 2, 3, 4 years' time if circumstances change. But for what we need at this moment in time, Sorba Thomas is a very, very smart target. And then if we go on to get it done, signing. Great job, Brain Team. Great job, Jared Dublin. Great job, Ruben Sayers.
Yeah, I'd be happy enough with Sorba Thomas. I think he knows the area. He's, as Christian said, he's sick. He's homesick, just like Crooks. He misses Yorkshire. Good old Yorkshire. What's the fee for Thomas? I don't know. We're still spending quite a lot. I think that'll take us well over 20 million euros with Joseph and Matozo as well. So we really do need to stay up. But yeah, I think that's solid. It does make an interesting situation for the wingers next year because we have Miller, Balumi, Thomas, and Kamara.
I think that's going to be a very slow process, though, bringing them back in. I do.
Well, indeed, because it doesn't. I don't necessarily think that it's 100% that they would be fully fit for the whole sort of pre-season.
No,
that's a really bad injury.
When I spoke to Liam Miller in October, he said to me, when I said to him, "Is it going to be pre-season?" He said, "Possibly later."
Yeah.
So,
and that's just training.
Especially when you consider his injury was done before Balumi's.
Depends how bad the tear is, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, it does. And it depends how well they cope with the surgery. And there's so many different factors with an injury of that kind. So we'll see. We hope they're back quite early in pre-season, but it's just one to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as we get closer to the end of this season, more will become clear about their paths to return for next season. But just in the here and now, we're a long, long, long way away. Still,
and that's the thing. Like we're saying we don't know even what would that do with Sorba Thomas when they come back. Well, it's not just Sorba Thomas if we get him, because with respect to Kamara, where would you rate Sorba Thomas over Kamara, or would you put Kamara over Sorba Thomas? Then you've got to look at the lads coming back. That's just lowering the pecking order.
And do we sign Gelhardt again? Like we've talked about.
And Gelhardt. I mean, well, there's no question. Do we? We should.
To me, it reminds me exactly like when Connolly came in. He got his first goal against QPR. He played pretty well at Sheffield United as well in his first few matches. We were desperate to sign him on a permanent, and we did. So I'd be happy with Gelhardt,
I mean,
even after
he was murdered by Angus Gunn as well, which is part of the reason his form went off a cliff.
Rest in peace, Aaron Connolly. Of course, he did not help us out when he missed that penalty against Luton. Unfortunately, at least Ivanovic scored that great goal to beat Luton. Didn't appreciate that, Aaron. You could have thrown us a bone there.
Anyway.
I think it might be time for the most exciting part of the podcast. It's my 10-minute sobbing session as long as left. Not really. It's the combined lineup between us and Stoke City.
You've spelled Johansson wrong.
Sorry.
Double N.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. So Johansson, the Stoke City goalkeeper, is in goal. He saved 2 penalties this year. And I mean, really, I don't know why he's at a club like Stoke. We've got
I've
Jacob.
just seen you, sorry to interrupt, Nathaniel. I've just seen what you've written for up front.
Yes, I've got to read out the rest of the team. This is for a podcast. People can't see.
Yeah, he plays for Stoke.
Yeah, it's Jacob, McLaughlin, Jones and Jame, Alzate, Puerto Crooks, Gelhart, sort of left forward, Moran over Kamara, who's I think he's on loan from Brighton for Stoke. He's got a few goals this season. And up front we have Unk himself, João Pedro.
Unk still got it.
He's still got it. He's still got it. Well, it's either 32-year-old Unk or it's, 18-year-old, 19-year-old Low for Stoke.
Or Carl Joseph.
Well, I'm not going to throw Joseph in there over Unk, am I? But I wouldn't be surprised.
Ruben did.
What would we say the lineup should be? Because Burns looked like he might have gone off with a slight injury. Do we have Jacob, who scored, left back, and McLaughlin centre back? That is what I would do.
I mean, the backline's a tricky one, isn't it? That is a tricky one, actually. Now you come to say that. I mean, Jacob, as he, God, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's deserved a start. Is he the right player to start against Stoke?
I feel like at home we're going to want that more, the mobility and the attacking threat that you might have. No, he's not.
Oh, yeah, no doubt with his attacking threat. Yeah, 100%.
You know, more so than McLaughlin. Of course, he scored. And of course, you can switch it up if need be. I'd have Crooks maybe to play an hour. You can have Lincoln off the bench or someone like that. I think unless Thomas comes in, you're probably starting the same front three. Gerhardt and I don't know. I think Burstow might have run his race out wide. I feel like I want to see him start in the middle a little bit more if he does play. But over Joseph and Pedro,
rumor of someone going out on loan, actually, wasn't there? We don't know where yet, but there's a rumor of it. Burstow going away out on loan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if we get Thomas in, quite possibly.
Yeah, I think. I to be honest, I think other than Slater, and I'm not disputing Slater's efforts, but I think Slater's going to be the only one who might get rotated.
For Puerta?
For Puerta, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, well, let's just look at the people who can go in that position, actually. There's quite a few.
Well, yeah,
I think we've got to play Puerta.
I think the strongest midfield eventually will end up being, no disrespect to Crooks or Slater, but I think it will end up being Alzate, Puerta, Matazo.
Probably.
But whether after the way Crooks played and Gus's form of late and Matazo coming in and there being the hype around him, it's that exactly that Paul's put in chat. Do you change a winning team?
Change a winning team? Yeah, I mean,
yes, you can. I'd certainly say so.
Depends on your opposition at times. Obviously, I mean, let's not get it wrong. I mean, Celis he's got everyone's support behind him, 110%. We all love him, so he's a guy who kind of looks at the opposition and plans around it, really, and he uses it tactically, unlike previous management who just goes, I've got this one tactic and we're going to just play it over and over again, even if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We've now got a manager who comes in and looks at the game, looks at his opposition and goes, I'm playing and planning for that, as well as using my little tricks that I've got coming out of my hat. So, yeah, keep the same team because it's positive and we did well, but I guess we've got to look at the opposition in front of us. I mean, like we're saying, do we go with a more attacking threat and have Jacobs on the left? And do we give Slater a bit of a rest because he hasn't really had one, has he? When was his last game out? I can't even remember now.
He's played an awful lot. I mean,
all of them. So does he have a bit of a break? And do we start with Puerta instead of?
I'd go for that. I want Puerta on the pitch. I think his set pieces have been a bit better than a few other players as well this season.
Long throw specialist, Gustavo.
That'd be nice. It's another set piece, isn't it? Technically, it's another set piece.
There's no Tommy Tonks.
There's no Delap either. So, Will, I'll go to you first. Predictions. Do you think you might get 2 right? 2 in a row?
Of course.
Okay, cool. We'll move rapidly on. Christian.
You're not going to ask him what it is.
Not going to ask because we all know what he's going to say, don't we?
Yeah, well, you can say it.
Obviously, it's going to be Hulsty 0, Stoke 4.
Oh, God. I hope not.
No, obviously 3-0 City and Carl Joseph hat-trick.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Oh.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with 2-0 City. And hopefully Carl Joseph gets one. And I also feel Joe Gellart will get the other one.
Yeah, that'd be reasonable. Joe?
2-1 City.
Which one?
Funny one, Nathaniel. Hull City 2, Stoke City 1, goals. Big Zhao and Gus.
Yeah. Uncle Gus. Yeah. I'll go. I'm just so scared because our home form. I'm marred by it.
No, I love Will's drift of a 3-0, and I like Christian's confidence of a clean sheet. But it's because we're at home that I can't be.
It's so hard, isn't it? No, that's it. It's so hard.
I think we'll play poorly and win 2-1. I'll go penalty, and I'll go tree header from a Gus corner.
Tree header.
I love calling Puerto
or a Gus throw-in, a long throw.
Yeah, Gus long throw.
Gus long throw for a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I think who these people
the confidence needs to continue with the fans and the result needs to follow up. That's what it is. Consistency at home. Definitely, Steve. Yeah, that's what we want. And if we get it, I mean, the confidence that'll be coming out of everybody. That I think this win, I don't want to say it's a must win, but
it's a must win.
It is. It's a must win. It's a must win. And for every reason under the sun, not just for the points, for the emotions which will follow with it.
Yes,
precisely. It's exactly that.
Well said. Anything else to mention?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Cool. Well, everyone, thanks for joining. Joe, Christian, Will, thanks for having a chat with me and helping me get through the great loss that I've had recently, of course. And I've been trying to create a Twitter account called Terexmen back, and I've made one, but it doesn't appear anywhere. I feel like it knows that I'm making it up.
Elon's changed the algorithm. He don't want any of those English lads getting anything.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, we'll see you next week after hopefully not losing a must-win game at home. See you then.
With any luck, bye.